That's how we get into being able to steer the beam. Remember I told you the beam just doesn't come out in one beam all the time. I can steer it this way. I can steer it this way. That's why I can have wide scan because of beam steering, because I can steer the beam more this way if I want to. I can steer the beam more this way. Or I can, that's why we have focusing, because focus is going to change the size of my near field, right? So that's why the focusing is so important, because when I move the focus down, then I'm making my near field longer. Okay? I'm changing the shape of the beam when I adjust my focus. All right? So if I have this my focus right here, and my focus is down here, and this is both my transducer head right here, then right here, my beam is going to get thinnest where the focus is, right? Where right here, my beam, it won't get thin until down here. And you see, now my focal depth is different. I'm actually changing the shape of the hourglass, basically. Either I'm making it extended or I'm making it shorter, depending on where I put my focus, which is why having the movable focus is so important, because we don't want any of our image to be in the far field. We don't want it to be where the beam diverges. In the focal zone, this is good, but we don't want any of our image to be in this area, because that's where the beam diverges. We lose lateral resolution that way, okay? We lose lateral resolution. So when we lose lateral resolution, we lose the ability to be able to see structures that are side by side. So instead of seeing an IVC and aorta like this, instead of seeing them separated like this, when we get images in the far field, it's just going to show one circle like that. If the anatomy is not thinner than the beam, then it won't be able to separate it. It's going to show it as one complete structure. So instead of seeing our images as aorta on the right, or on our right, and the IVC on the left, then it's just going to show one complete vessel, and that's how the image is going to look. Okay? That's why it's important to move your focus where it needs to be, because we want all our images to be above the focus, so we can get the best resolution, axial and lateral. Okay? So then we have the wire, guys. The wire just provides an electrical connection between the PZT and the ultrasound system. Okay? That's it. Provides an electrical connection between the PZT and the ultrasound system. The active element requires electrical contact so that during transmission, the voltage to the ultrasound can cause the crystals to vibrate and produce an ultrasonic wave during transmission. Okay? The wire is going to provide our electrical signal and is going to send it to the active element so that during transmission it can make sound waves. Okay? During reception, the crystal's vibration from the pressure waves, being sound waves, when they come back, they're going to cause the PZT to vibrate, and that's going to create an electrical signal. So the wire is also going to receive those electrical signals and take those signals to the receiver so it can produce our image. Good thing? Mm-hmm. That's what the wire, just like any other wire does. If you don't have your wire, it's not going to work, right? Because we don't have electricity going to that object. Okay. So the PZT or active element, remember, these are just quick little summaries right here, guys. We're going to delve deep into the PZT, the matching layer, and the damping layer. Okay. So the PZT, also known as the active element, also known as the ceramic, okay, or crystal. Okay. The PZT, we need that. We can't have ultrasound without it, right? Mm-hmm. You know. So the PZT, the PZT crystal itself, in a simple prose, the active element is shaped like a coin. Remember, we're talking about a single transducer, single element transducer right now. We're not talking about what we use every day. We're just talking about a single element transducer. I've never seen one myself, okay? But for explanation purposes, that's why they have it labeled this way. Okay? So the features of the sound beam emitted are related to the dimensions of the active element, meaning that the shape of the PZT, changes the sound beam, the shape of the sound beam, or the characteristics of the sound beam. Okay? The PZT, is important to know, is 1/2 wavelength thick. Okay?
What does this mean?
We're gonna talk about it. Right now, I want you to know because I need you to know that the PZT is 1/2 wavelength thick. Just like the matching element is a 1/4 wavelength thick. You have to know that, guys. You have to know that, have to know that, have to know that. PZT is half a wavelength thick. Alright? And again, like I said, these are just quick little summaries of these components. Okay? So then we have the matching layer. I know I kind of hit it the other day. The matching layer, which is positioned right in front of the PZT, that's the part of the transducer that actually touches the patient. Okay? That's closest to the patient. Positioned in front of the PZT. The matching layer increases the efficiency of sound, because remember we talked about impedance and attenuation last chapter, right? So the matching layer helps transfer energy between the active element and the body, because those have a big tremendous impedance difference. That's what the matching layer does. Remember, we're going to get we get better transmission the closer levels of impedance two structures are, right? When they're tremendously different, we're going to get our reflections, right? We're going to get our reflections, right? If the impedance differences are great, okay? If they're similar, we're going to get a lot of transmission, which during transmission, we need a lot of transmission because we need as many sound waves to go into the body to go in there and then reflect back, because we only get 1% or less than 1% of reflections anyway. So we need as much of that sound to transmit as possible. Okay? That's what the matching layer helps do. And it protects the active element. And it protects the active element. Remember, it's positioned right in front of the active element. So when you drop one of our transducers, and one of the active elements ends up messing up, what happens is, if this particular one was bad right here, then that part of the image, y'all ever seen those transducers where you see those black lines that where it's missing information? That's what happened. That crystal is damaged. You know, we can still use those transducers, but at the same time, you're missing that whole strip of information. Okay, so that's why I always say, be honest when you drop it, because you're not gonna get in trouble, you know, unless you're just a repeat offender. You know? But it's for patient satisfaction and to get the best quality images, because if we're not getting all the diagnostic information we need, you know, from the crystals being damaged, then we're not doing our service to the patient. Okay? So, again, the matching layer increases the efficiency of sound. Increases efficiency. And it also protects the active element. Okay? It is 1/4 thick. Right there. So again, we're going to talk about how that works. Just like the gel, that's also an element used to help increase the transmission of sound. Okay? Because the gel's impedance characteristics are that of in between the skin and the matching layer. Okay? The impedance difference between that it lies right in between those, because we're trying to, the closer they are, the simpler they are in impedance characteristics, the more transmission we get of those sound waves. So that's what the matching layer is. It's matching impedance. Matching impedances. Okay. So, last but not least, we have the backing material, also known as the damping element. Backing material meaning that it's backing up the PZT. PZT is the most important part of the transducer. Okay? The backing layer. So, if we were to draw this, guys. So you knowing which is which would be thicker, since we know that the PZT is 1/2 wavelength thick and the matching layer is 1/4 wavelength thick. Wouldn't the PZT be a little thicker, right? Okay. So we have because depending on our transducer, you know, depending on how thick also the backing layer is going to be, because if we need it to, it's going to be thicker the faster we need it to stop. Okay, because that's what the backing layer does. It stops the PZT from ringing, so we can listen for reception. So. this layer right here, guys, that's our backing layer. Our backing is going to put a B for it. Backing layer, or our damping element. It's dampening the sound vibrations created by the PZT. Okay? It's dampening so we can receive and get those reflected sound waves. Okay? So, backing behind the transducer, this is our transducer face, right? This is where my sound waves are coming from. Alright? Then we have the actual PZT itself. I don't know why I'm doing all these different colors. The actual PZT itself, or our active element, okay, which is in between the matching layer and the backing layer. And in the front, we have our matching layer, which helps us, I like to say that, match the impedance differences between the PZT, the matching element, the gel, and the skin. Okay. Because really, it just helps us match the impedance difference between the PZT to the skin. But we also need the gel that's going to increase the transmission of sound. All right. Again, backing layer backs up the active element. Then we have, I'm going to draw a fake wire right here, so you'll know what's the front and what's the back. Right. So those are our different parts. Right there, I would say these three components of the transducer will be considered the most important. Okay. You're always going to have to know that the PZT element is half a wavelength thick, and the matching element is a quarter of a wavelength thick. All right. Know that synonym for backing also is going to be the damping element. Okay. That's bonded to the back of the PZT. It reduces the ringing of the PZT, as I already said. It's going to stop it from ringing so that we can listen during reception. Okay. That's the difference between a continuous wave transducer and a diagnostic ultrasound transducer, is that continuous wave transducers don't have a backing or damping element because they don't need one. They're continuously sending sound out. Okay? That would be the difference. If somebody asks you what's the difference between a continuous wave and a diagnostic transducer, it doesn't. Continuous wave transducers don't have a damping element. It don't have a backing element. Okay? It's commonly made of epoxy resin impregnated with tungsten filaments. Okay? When an electrical spike excites the PZT, the backing material restricts the extent of PZT deformation. So with a continuous wave transducer, the sound is constantly being vibrated and resonating at that same frequency. Okay? With the damping, that's why we have, I don't know if you ever noticed, our transducers are labeled 5-1. Right? Because that's going to be our bandwidth. That's our range of frequencies. Yes, 5 is our main frequency for a curved transducer, the curvilinear transducer, but it has a range of frequency between 5 and 1. Okay? Because it can't stop the PZT from ringing instantly. So just that little short time where the sound is being, from the time it's ringing to the time it stopped, it has that range of frequency within there from it working at full speed till it stopped it. Okay? That's the reason continuous wave transducer actually will have a higher quality image, because they're always resonating at the same frequency the whole time. So if a continuous wave transducer had a 12 transducer, the frequency would always be 12. We always have a bandwidth or a range of frequencies because it takes time to stop the PZT from ringing. Okay? Mind you, it's a minute amount of time. It happens in microseconds. You know, it's not time to us because we can't visualize microseconds. It happens that fast. But just in that little time span, it's causing that range of frequencies to be from 5 to 1. Of course, 5 is our main frequency, but also it has frequency ranges that are above and below 5. Okay? Okay. The emitted sound dampens, thus a short in duration and length. We love that because that helps us with axial resolution, right? We love short pulses in time and length, okay? In time and distance, because that's going to give us the highest quality images. Okay?
What do you mean in time and distance?
Remember how